Most people think knockout power is genetics, something you're simply born with. Artur Beterbiev built his entire career proving something much more terrifying. Power can be trained, forged, conditioned, weaponized. Because when you watch Beterbiev fight, it doesn't feel like normal boxing. It feels like pressure. Constant pressure. Every punch heavy, every step controlled, every round slowly breaking the opponent apart, physically and mentally.
Anthony Yard called both you and Joe Smith slow in the ring.
Slow. What is your reaction?
I'm slow?
That's what Anthony Yard said.
Okay. Okay. I understand.
It's like dribble down the line.
Yes, because they talk always like they want to fight. They want to fight for next. Okay, let's do it.
How do you think that fight plays out between you and Bivol?
I don't know. It's like, but I mean, we need this fight. I think so.
Artur, we know that you have nothing but respect for Joe Smith, but you did blow him out in 2 rounds. Did you expect it to go that fast, or?
No, I'm not expecting, like, for all my fights, I'm not focused of knockout or something. I try to do what we're working on,
And
like
honestly,
8 weeks,
that's what
and I
makes
try
Artur
to do in
Beterbiev
ring
one of the
this.
scariest fighters of this
those
generation. Not just the knockouts, the inevitability. Because once the fight starts, it feels like he's slowly closing every possible escape route. No wasted movement, no flashy combinations, no unnecessary emotion. Just disciplined violence repeated over and over again until opponents eventually collapse under the pressure. And maybe that's because Beterbiev wasn't built through modern boxing culture. He was built through old-school discipline, Soviet-style structure, brutal conditioning, relentless repetition, the kind of systems designed to create fighters who never break mentally under pressure. That's why his style feels different from many modern boxers. No social media style training, no influencer nonsense, no chasing aesthetics. Everything serves one purpose: performance. And behind that performance is a nutrition system just as disciplined as the fighter himself. Meal overview. Full day. Approximately 3,000 to 3,800 calories depending on sparring volume, conditioning intensity, and training phase. High protein structure supporting. Knockout power, muscular recovery durability, long sparring sessions. Moderate carbohydrates supporting, road work conditioning boxing sessions, recovery between workouts. Main foods throughout camp include eggs, oatmeal, beef, chicken, fish, rice, potatoes, vegetables, soups, fruit, kefir, hydration, focused recovery foods. The structure focuses heavily on simplicity, consistency, recovery, and maintaining elite conditioning year-round. And honestly, the first meal of the day perfectly reflects Beterbiev's entire mentality. No flashy breakfast, no cheat meals, no distractions, just fuel.
Turned 40 years old, but you seem to get better as you get a little bit older. How do you explain that?
I think it's because it's experience, and to be good in good shape
breakfast
a long
eggs,
time. I think it's
oatmeal,
helping for your
fruit,
body too.
Tea. Approximately 700 to 900 calories total. 45 to 55 grams of protein supporting muscular recovery and strength maintenance. 60 to 90 grams of carbohydrates supporting road work and conditioning. Healthy fats supporting hormonal balance and stable energy. Purpose: fueling morning conditioning while maintaining long-duration energy for boxing sessions later in the day. And shortly after breakfast, the real work begins. Not casual workouts, not fitness influencer circuits, real fighter preparation. According to reports and breakdowns surrounding his camps, Beterbiev's training system revolves heavily around conditioning, endurance work, technical boxing repetition, and brutal sparring structure designed to build relentless pressure over long fights. Because Beterbiev doesn't train to win rounds, he trains to break people. And maybe that's why his pressure feels so different once the fight begins. You don't feel like you're fighting one hard punch. You feel like you're drowning slowly, round after round, step after step, punch after punch, until eventually the pressure becomes impossible to survive. The scary thing about Artur Beterbiev isn't the aggression, it's the control. Because most pressure fighters eventually become reckless. They chase the knockout. They overcommit. They lose discipline once the fight becomes emotional. Beterbiev somehow becomes calmer, more patient, more dangerous. That's what makes his pressure feel different. Every step calculated, every punch placed with intention, every round slowly draining the opponent physically and mentally. And honestly, that's probably why so many fighters look exhausted long before Beterbiev even starts slowing down. Because they're not just fighting punches, they're fighting pressure. Constant pressure. According to breakdowns surrounding his camps and training philosophy, conditioning plays a massive role inside Beterbiev's preparation. Long roadwork sessions, high-volume boxing drills, endurance-focused training, and repeated technical work all help build the pace that makes him so overwhelming inside fights. That matters, because knockout power alone doesn't create pressure. Conditioning creates pressure. The ability to keep coming forward. The ability to stay dangerous late into rounds. The ability to force opponents into panic while remaining calm yourself. That's elite-level fighting. And once the first major training session ends, recovery immediately becomes the next priority.
I just spoke to Bevel and his team. They feel like they got robbed tonight. I know that you just said that this wasn't your best performance. How do you respond to them saying that basically they deserve the win?
Meal 2,
know,
post-roadwork recovery,
they can say anything.
lean protein, rice or potatoes, vegetables, approximately 700 to 900 calories total, 50 to 65 grams of protein, supporting muscular repair and recovery, 60 to 90 grams of carbohydrates restoring glycogen after conditioning work, low to moderate fats supporting efficient recovery. Purpose, recovering after road work and preparing the body for boxing sessions later in the day. And unlike many modern fighters who constantly chase entertainment, Beterbiev's camps focus heavily on repetition, simple drills, repeated endlessly, over and over again until reactions become automatic. Because when fatigue arrives during real fights, only habits survive. That's why his style looks so efficient. Nothing wasted, no unnecessary movement, no emotional energy. Everything built around breaking opponents down systematically. And maybe the most underrated part of Beterbiev's entire game is his discipline outside the ring. The food, the recovery, the structure, the consistency. Because elite conditioning doesn't happen accidentally. It happens through years of controlled routines repeated daily. That structure continues with the next major meal of the day. Meal 3, performance lunch. Beef or chicken, soup, rice, vegetables, approximately 900 to 1200 calories total. 60 to 75 grams of protein supporting strength, durability, and recovery. 80 to 110 grams of carbohydrates supporting boxing sessions and sparring performance. Healthy fats supporting hormonal balance and nervous system recovery. Purpose, providing sustained energy for high-volume boxing work and afternoon training. And honestly, this meal perfectly represents old-school fighter systems. Simple foods, heavy recovery focus, no gimmicks. Because Beterbiev's camps aren't designed around looking impressive online. They're designed around surviving brutal workloads inside camp and staying dangerous deep into championship rounds. That's why his entire style feels different from many modern fighters. Less performance, more destruction. And once the gloves finally go on later in the day, the real pressure begins all over again. What makes Artur Beterbiev terrifying isn't just the knockout power, it's the fact that the pressure never stops. Round 1 feels dangerous. Round 6 feels dangerous. Round 12 still feels dangerous. And honestly, that's what separates him from most fighters. Because eventually, many pressure fighters slow down. The feet stop moving. The combinations lose sharpness. The conditioning starts collapsing. Beterbiev somehow keeps walking forward, still disciplined, still balanced, still dangerous. That's not normal, especially at championship-level boxing. And according to breakdowns surrounding his camps, a massive amount of his preparation revolves around endurance and work capacity. Long conditioning sessions, repeated technical rounds, and brutal sparring structures are designed to create a fighter who can maintain pressure deep into fights without mentally or physically fading. That's championship conditioning. Because pressure only works if the engine never dies. And maybe that's why opponents eventually break mentally against him. Not because of one punch, because the pressure feels endless. The same heavy jab, the same forward steps, the same crushing pace, again and again and again, until mistakes finally appear. And physically, supporting that kind of system requires enormous recovery.
And my final question is, if you had to describe yourself in one word, what would it be?
Kind person.
That's pretty ironic for someone that is 18-0 with 18 knockouts.
Free-sparing fuel fruit,
But we
light carbohydrates, hydration-focused fluids, approximately 400 to 600 calories total, 15 to 25 grams of protein supporting muscular preservation, 70 to 100 grams of carbohydrates supporting sparring performance and conditioning output, minimal fat supporting faster digestion before boxing work. Purpose: fueling sparring and technical boxing sessions without slowing movement or endurance. And unlike many modern fighters who focus heavily on entertainment, Beterbiev's camps remain brutally old school. Road work, bag work, technical repetition, pressure drills, conditioning, sparring, everything repeated endlessly. Because old school systems believe one thing above everything else: discipline creates champions. Not motivation, not hype, discipline. And maybe the most underrated part of Beterbiev's entire game is the mental pressure he creates. Because once opponents realize he isn't slowing down, panic starts appearing. The mistakes become bigger, the reactions become slower, the fear starts growing. That's when the real damage begins. And once the hardest boxing sessions finally finish, recovery becomes the priority again. Meal 5, post-sparing recovery. Fish or beef, potatoes, vegetables, approximately 900 to 1200 calories total, 65 to 80 grams of protein supporting muscular repair after sparring and conditioning, 80 to 110 grams of carbohydrates restoring glycogen after high-volume boxing work, healthy fat supporting hormonal balance and nervous system recovery. Purpose: deep recovery after brutal sparring and pressure-focused boxing sessions. And honestly, this meal says everything about Beterbiev's philosophy. Simple food, simple structure, relentless consistency. Because greatness isn't built through complicated systems, it's built through doing the basics at an elite level for years. And Artur Beterbiev may be one of the purest examples of that mentality left in modern boxing. At the highest level of boxing, everybody can punch hard. Everybody can train hard. Everybody believes they're dangerous. So the real difference appears somewhere deeper, inside the conditioning, inside the discipline, inside the ability to keep applying pressure long after another fighter mentally breaks. And honestly, that's exactly where Artur Beterbiev became terrifying. Because Beterbiev doesn't fight like a modern superstar boxer. He fights like a machine built for destruction. No wasted movement. No unnecessary emotion. No slowing down. Just relentless pressure repeated until opponents finally collapse under it. And when you break down the structure behind his camps, the system becomes brutally simple. Workout overview. Full week Monday. Boxing fundamentals. Road work. Shadow boxing. Heavy bag rounds. Jab repetition. Footwork drills. Technical combinations. Defensive movement. Focus. Building pressure through perfect fundamentals and endless repetition. Tuesday. Conditioning and endurance. Long distance running. Sprint intervals. Bodyweight circuits. Explosive conditioning. Core endurance work. High volume movement drills. Focus. Maintaining pressure deep into championship rounds. Wednesday. Technical boxing pad work. Counter drills. Defensive reactions. Combination timing. Heavy bag pressure rounds. Movement repetition. Focus. Precision. Timing. And controlled aggression. Thursday. Sparring day. Hard sparring. Pressure rounds. Ring control drills. Inside fighting. Body attack combinations. Mental toughness work. Focus. Breaking opponents mentally through relentless pace and pressure. Friday, strength and power, explosive lifting, medicine ball throws, core development, functional strength work, athletic movement, lower body power exercises, focus, developing force without sacrificing endurance or mobility. Saturday, fight simulation, technical sparring, heavy bag conditioning, scenario drilling, pressure combinations, high-volume boxing rounds, reaction work, focus, simulating real fight fatigue while maintaining technical discipline. Sunday, recovery mobility work, stretching, hydration, recovery-focused movement, mental reset, preparation for the next training cycle. Because elite pressure requires elite recovery. And before the day finally ends, the final recovery phase begins. Meal 6, night recovery. Kefir, protein source. Hydration-focused recovery. Approximately 300 to 500 calories total. 30 to 40 grams of protein supporting overnight muscular repair. Moderate carbohydrates supporting glycogen restoration and nervous system recovery. Healthy fats supporting recovery quality and hormonal balance. Purpose: overnight recovery supporting another brutal day of conditioning and boxing preparation. And maybe that's the biggest lesson from Artur Beterbiev's entire system. Not flashy combinations, not social media hype, discipline. Because Beterbiev didn't become one of the most feared punchers in boxing through shortcuts. He built it through endless repetition, endless conditioning, endless pressure, until eventually opponents stopped fighting him physically and started breaking mentally instead. If you made it this far, you understand what separates average fighters from elite systems. Comment which athlete you want next and stay locked in. This is Iron Protocol.